They used to say everything's bigger in Texas, including the scandals. And the Ken and Angela Paxton divorce? Let's just say it's the full BBQ platter. After 38 years of marriage, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton and State Senator Angela Paxton are calling it quits. And this time, it's personal. Angela filed for divorce on biblical grounds. Translation, adultery. And not just any affair. This one involves a billionaire real estate donor, a shady job offer, and a woman who was allegedly hired for more than just her resume.
Well, everyone knows who he is. He's been the most effective attorney general, and we think he's just a great guy. Get out and vote for Ken Paxton.
So what really happened between the pistol-packing mama and the MAGA legal star? Let's rewind. Angela wasn't just Ken's wife. She was his political ride or die. She campaigned for him with a guitar in hand, and verses like "My husband sues Obama."
I'm a pistol-packing mama, and my husband sues Obama. I'm a pistol-packing mama, yes I am.
When she launched her own Senate run, Ken backed her with a cool $2 million loan. In office, she expanded his powers and backed his budgets. But behind the scenes, things weren't quite so perfect. In 2018, Ken Paxton allegedly began an affair with a woman named Laura Olson. And guess what? That's the same year real estate mogul Nate Paul, yes, the guy under FBI investigation, allegedly hired Olson, conveniently right after the affair started. Ken initially claimed Olson was just his realtor. Later, he admitted to the affair under oath. Angela found out in 2019. They briefly separated, and although they patched things up for a while, the damage was clearly done. Fast forward to 2023, and the whole thing exploded publicly during Ken's impeachment trial, the first in Texas in 45 years. Allegations included bribes, favors, and yes, using his office to benefit his mistress's employer.
The corrupt politicians in the Texas House are demonstrating that blind loyalty to Speaker Dade Phelan is more important than upholding their oath of office.
Angela sat through the entire thing in the Senate chamber, but was barred from voting. Imagine watching your husband's affair unravel in legal testimony while cameras roll and staying silent. Now, in 2025, Angela's had enough. In a public statement, she said she tried to save the marriage but could no longer do so without dishonoring God. She's done. And frankly, who could blame her? Ken Paxton, meanwhile, is acting like it's just another day in the office. He asked for prayers and privacy, but is still planning to challenge Senator John Cornyn in the 2026 GOP primary. That campaign? Suddenly looking a lot shakier. Even Trump's camp is allegedly cooling off. The NRSC is calling Ken's behavior repulsive. And evangelical voters? A full quarter of them say they're now less likely to support him. At Rumour Juice, we're watching closely. Because if you thought the Texas soap opera was over, honey, it's just hitting Act 2. So, we've seen how scandal can unravel even decades of marriage. But not all political love stories are defined by chaos and public betrayal. In fact, some stand as powerful testaments to enduring strength and unwavering commitment, even in the face of unimaginable adversity. Texas Governor Greg Abbott's story is one of resilience, but behind that strength is someone who's been by his side through it all, his wife, Cecilia.
I am so proud to have by my side my wife of 33 years, Cecilia.
They met back at the University of Texas at Austin. And yes, there's a love story here too. Word has it, Cecilia once serenaded him from behind a keyboard at her dorm. Sounds like a rom-com, right? Well, it only gets more emotional from there. Greg proposed to Cecilia in 1981 during a walk along San Antonio's Riverwalk. That same year they got married, and fun fact, they even share a birthday. It really does seem like they were meant to be. But just a few years into their marriage, life threw them a curveball no one could have expected. In 1984, Greg was out jogging in Houston when a 75-foot oak tree fell on him. He was just a newly graduated law student at the time. The accident left him paralyzed from the waist down. It wasn't just a fracture. It was a life-altering injury. Crushed vertebrae, broken ribs, damaged organs. Doctors inserted 2 steel rods near his spine that are still there to this day. Even as Greg lay in a hospital bed, Facing a future he never imagined, he wasn't alone. Cecilia was right there. One of Greg's colleagues, Kent Sullivan, later said Cecilia was a pillar of strength for him, and not in the vague, supportive spouse way. Cecilia literally helped him get used to life in a wheelchair, made their home a place where friends could still gather for poker nights, and used her sense of humor to lift his spirits. It wasn't easy, but they got through it, together.
And it was after the accident that put me in the wheelchair that I went on to become a Supreme Court Justice, the longest-serving Attorney General, and now Governor of the great state of Texas, showing that anybody can achieve anything in this great state.
After 16 years of marriage, Greg and Cecilia's lives changed again. This time in the most joyful way, when they adopted their daughter, Audrey. And when asked about it, Greg didn't hold back. He said, "Of all the decisions I've made in my life, in politics or otherwise, adopting Audrey was the best one I've ever made." He talked about holding her for the first time and knowing instantly that she would be his top priority. "Give it your heart and soul," he said to anyone thinking of adopting. "You won't regret it."
Joys of our marriage and adopting our daughter Audrey showed me the depths of his love and commitment.
Audrey mostly keeps a low profile even though she grew up in the public eye. She's now working in the entertainment industry and event planning. She used to be active in her dad's campaigns too, appearing at several events throughout his political career.
And we are so proud of our teenage daughter, Audrey. Through her eyes, I see the future generations of Texas, and it looks pretty good.
More recently, she got engaged to her college sweetheart at a summer camp in front of family and friends. And yes, Governor Abbott proudly shared the moment online, clearly bursting with pride. Now let's talk about Cecilia, because she's not just the governor's wife. Far from it. She's the first Hispanic First Lady of Texas, and her own journey is pretty remarkable. The granddaughter of Mexican immigrants, Cecilia grew up in San Antonio in a family of educators. They raised her to value learning, hard work, and helping others. And she ran with that. She earned 3 degrees, psychology, education, and theology, and went on to become a teacher, a school principal, and later a leader in senior healthcare services. As First Lady, she launched Texanthropy, a statewide initiative to promote volunteerism and giving back. But she didn't stop there. Cecilia has also been a champion for foster care and adoption, especially through programs like the Heart Gallery. And she's deeply involved in efforts to combat child exploitation through the GRACE initiative. She serves on several nonprofit boards and is known for showing up, getting involved, and truly caring. Not just in front of cameras, but behind the scenes too. Greg and Cecilia's story is truly inspiring.